Thank you for coming today to this very exciting afternoon of martial arts training, a workshop here. And I'm actually not really sure what we're going to get today. It's a act that is unfolding, and I am very, very excited about this. My name is John Mason. I'm with the Big Island Film Office. I want to welcome you to this exciting event as part of the Chinese Film Festival here at the Palace. I want to thank Karen Moore for her assistance and help with this. I'd like to acknowledge also someone who just came in, has been a very key part, in fact, the most critical part of the Chinese Film Festival getting off the ground, Councilman Bob Jacobson. Bob's here someplace. I want to thank him for all of his efforts. He's down in front. Thank you, Bob. It seems like, those many years ago, Bob, but it was only 4, and look what's happened. I know you're all anxious to get onto this as I am. Let me just tell you what my slant on it is we're going to see 2 things here, and hopefully they're going to be connected. One is we're going to see in context some great martial arts action and film. And the baseline for this is going to be a film that we'll see in its entirety later tonight, Ip Man, which is just unbelievable. It is a great, great action film, martial arts film. Lots of effects, lots of good things happening. So we have that in film. And the other thing is we have you guys. With talent in martial arts and skill, we have a world-class premier facilitator, trainer, actor to lead us through this. And hopefully, and this is a beginning, we're not ready for prime time exactly yet, but we'll see the connection between what you guys can do, the skills you have in martial arts, in the way that you practice it now, and what goes on in film. So you might be able to think, and Loren will reemphasize this, is that here is a kind of a career thing to think about. Because we're going to see films like this, and there are lots of them, and they need people with the kind of skills that you're out there that you have. So very glad you're here. Without further ado, I'd like to turn things over to Mr. Loren Avedon. He's a martial arts black belt himself, and Taekwondo, and a few other does. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but he's an actor, he's a producer, he's a filmmaker, he's a trainer, an educator. He's a great guy. He is, if you Google this guy, if you IMDb Loren Avedon, you will see he is at the top of martial arts for film. And it is an honor and a pleasure to have him here today to take us through the ropes here. So again, thanks for coming, and thank you, Loren Avedon. Thank you.
Aloha. All right. Well, as John said, by the way, he's the president of the Big Island Film Office, so that's how we roll. And I'm just very grateful to have this opportunity. I'll just reiterate. Now, some of you probably are saying, okay, it's the Chinese Film Festival. What is this Guaylo doing up here talking about Chinese martial arts action film? Well, it just so happens that I'm one of a handful of Westerners who actually got to star in Hong Kong martial arts action adventure films that got wide theatrical release and international release. And actually, there's a gentleman in this film. In a couple of frames, you're going to see that there is a gentleman named Tony Leung Shin Hong, and he is actually the Green Dragon Master in Ip Man. I worked with him on 2 films. And the distinction that I hope that you'll come away with is, as John pointed out, there are plenty of jobs in the film industry. Research and development of the County of Hawaii helped sponsor this. Because honestly, I pray and I hope that we can bring the film business and a studio system of sorts to the island here. We have everything here to make great films. And there's a couple of studios that are taking advantage of that. Now, I'm going to show you very quickly a gaff that I did with a bunch of guys. Okay, stop right there for a second. That top shot with the gentleman in green, that is the Green Dragon Master in Ip Man, the film that you will see later today. Ip Man is, of course, the story of Bruce Lee's teacher. It's embellished. Wing Chun is his style, is his mother's style. And as you know, Bruce Lee developed many other styles. because Wing Chun in its pure form is not very cinematic. It can be. Some of the moves, the Pox, Flops, and Sows are cinematic, but you need to have other movements, and you'll see that in Ip Man, the film. But this gentleman, Tony Leung Shin Hong, the perfection that he and Sammo Hung demand. Sammo Hung is another epic Chinese martial arts action film actor. He did some work in the States on a series called Martial Law. I don't know if you ever saw that. It was back in the late 80s, early 90s. I worked on that show. Back in the late 90s. So, without further ado, what I would like to do is to show you a quick clip of an action bit that I did with a German group this last summer in Berlin. It's only a minute long, and then I'm going to go through it and show you actually every single hit is pretty much a miss. Okay? And there are some that are hits, and there are owies involved, but it's all about the angles and the way you shoot it and the reactions.
Wo ist mein verdammtes Geld? Was willst du denn, Alter?
Ja. Schatz, ich bin gleich bei dir. Okay? Tschüss.
Basically, the Chinese philosophy of making action films is they expect the actors to make contact and to be hit. It is expected. The first film that I did in Thailand, one of the first things that the producer did is he came and he collected all of our passports. What the Chinese do is they have a 5-man stunt team. The coordinator and 4 or 5 other bodies of different shapes and sizes. And they can basically double anybody in the show. Anybody, male, female, whatever it is. Now, if you notice in that particular deal, I was wearing a hood and long sleeves because I had a guy doubling me. Why? I was directing the shots, so I need to see how it was run through. And I'm not going to get thrown down on the concrete because I don't have to. He can. So that's the whole idea. The reason why you need stunt people is because it's very simple. If somebody who's on camera gets hurt, the movie's done. And millions of dollars, or hundreds of thousands, or in my case, my movie's probably just a couple dollars, is wasted. So that's why you need stunt people. So let me show you a little clip, very brief, about a minute, of me doing a basic fight scene in an alley in Thailand when I was much younger. Okay, please run the clip. And you can see that we do it over and over again. I don't know why it's stuttering, but we'll get it right. So this is in the middle of the night in an alley in Thailand. I mean, the scariest part of that is I didn't want to hit the ground because the rat. So the Chinese would make you do this over and over and over and over. Now, when it came to the actual dialogue, they'd give me like one take. Pass the meat in front of the camera. Did you get an image? Okay, great. Moving on. And they never really wanted to. That's fine. They never really wanted to spend time on the acting. They thought that the story and what their audience was interested in was just the action. They could have really cared less about, I'm sorry to say, about telling the story. When Chinese filmmaking, action filmmaking began, they would go out in the 70s with no script. They just figure out what they're going to do for that day. They'd go out, they'd shoot it, and they'd figure out the story later. It was just whatever they could do to get some good action in the can. And back when these things were shot, when you saw me in my, cool vest there, that's really all they cared about. They didn't have any monitors set up. It was the cameraman's eye. If he thought it worked, and I heard this over and over again in Cantonese, Chun Bong, Chun Bong. Anybody speak Cantonese here? No. That means fake. Chun Bong means do it again. Do it again. And then other words like, there are kids in the audience. Okay, parents, cover your kids' ears for a second. They would say, do. Anybody know what do means? In English, it starts with an F. So that's what we had to go through. So we had our passports taken away, and then we were run through the mill. The first film I went to, I signed a 3-picture deal. I figured, well, they took my passport away. I guess they'll just kill me at the last shot of the last day. Loren gets killed. But, of course, that didn't happen. But the people that I replaced, Jean-Claude Van Damme and Kurt McKinney, I didn't replace Van Damme. A guy named Matthias Hughes did, who was a terrific guy. But he scared the lead star away by saying, hey, they're going to kill us over there. Because they had worked on a film in L.A. Called No Retreat, No Surrender 1. It was Van Damme's first movie. And they were really hard on him. I mean, they were really hard on him. And they expected the same thing. And he thought, wow, we're going to be in Asia? Oh, it's all over. We're not going to make it home. And to be honest with you, I had nothing to lose. And I had everything to gain, and they knew it. And I was so grateful for the education that I got. Now, Ip Man is a Hong Kong Chinese action film. It was shot in Hong Kong. Now, after 97, after the takeover by the Chinese government, the Hong Kong film industry basically dispersed. A lot of people came to Hollywood. A lot of people went to other countries. It was very much like Germany before World War II. All of the great talent just left. And a few would come back. Sammo would come back and work. There's a few others. Sammo is in Ip Man 2. And Sammo Hung did the action choreography for the first Ip Man. Let me know when you got that. Okay, we're trying to get the first clip going. Now, the first clip that I'm going to show you is the Green Dragon Master fight. Now, you remember I showed you that picture of Tony. Tony and his 5-man team did all of the action for the 3 major Hong Kong movies that I did. And those guys were fearless. If you told those guys that they had to get up on that chandelier, fall down, and hit the ground right there, they would just get up there and do it. They'd put some boxes over there under there. You'd think these guys are going to kill this guy's dead. And they would do it, literally, with no question, get up, brush themselves off, and be ready to do it again. And with that kind of bar set, man, it was really, really hard not to do your best. And that's what these guys demand. And you'll see that in this Ip Man film, Tony and his partner, the Northern Shaolin Master, both worked with Sammo. And if you will hopefully get a chance to watch the documentary at the end of this, of me jaw-jacking for an hour or so, and you'll be able to see that they really put emphasis in every single aspect of each character. They wanted to be as true as they possibly can, but of course they had to have the poetic license to be cinematic with the action. Because Wing Chun is basically standing right in front of somebody, your opponent is this close to you. It's not very cinematic. You need to have big motion when you do action. So, without further ado, let me show you this first clip of the Green Dragon Master and the Northern Shaolin Master. Okay, so that guy got hit a lot, right? Oh, yeah. So if you notice, they're both pretty much, sorry. It's okay. So what I wanted to show you in that last frame is that Tony is wearing basically a vest. He's got pads all around his body. So he's protecting himself while he's still selling out, okay? Thank you. Please bring it back to the beginning. So the thing about this is, if you notice, they're using wires. They're using something very simple. Baby powder. All that white stuff flying off that you see, play the clip one more time, dear, is either potter's earth or baby powder. So poof, poof, poof is potter's earth or baby powder. Do you see that white stuff? What white stuff is on a shoe like that? And it's not. They put the powder on. Very good question. They put the powder on. If you notice, that's a single shot. In other words, they cut the last shot. So what they'll do is they'll put powder on. They'll put powder on a shoe, and they'll say, "Okay, action!" And bang! He will just drive that foot in there until that powder puffs off. Show it one more time. Show it one more time. So try to look at the cuts that go on. There's between 4 and 20 moves in each cut. So set up 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Well, that was a separate cut. So see that separate cut? They put the powder on, and smacko, bang, pow. Now he's aiming for the chest, but it looks like it's a. And this is wire work. There's no way you can get up that quick, yeah? And what are they fighting on? They're outside on dirt so that they can have a little cushion. And that is really him getting hit in the head. And stop. They did that with me. Tony would be off camera. And he'd say, "Okay, Loren, we're friends, right? We friend, right?" "Yeah, Tony, we're friends. As he's standing off camera like this, ready to punch me in the face. And so here's what we did. I said, "Tony, don't hit me in the cheek. Don't hit me in the jaw." I would put cotton in my mouth and bite on it. I'd say, "Hit me in the teeth." So, boom. He'd be off camera, hit me in the teeth. And he was pretty accurate because he could have broken my cheek. But the thing is and you'll see from this, and we'll play it one more time for you. You'll see from this that there is impact expected. And you'll see from these other clips that when these guys, the actors, as well as the stunt people, are in these films, they are expected to get hit. There is no whining on a Chinese set because they will just hurt you even more and laugh at you. So if we can show it one more time, we'll give him a shot of that. But you can see his pad. You can see he's ready to go. So see, there's that separate shot, that insert shot with the power powder on it. And notice the acting and the reaction. See, he's not really hitting him in the face, and that last hit was on the shoulder. But very creative choreography. And then the use of the camera. And that's why, thank you, that's why that Northern Shaolin guy, they established him having this hand wrap. It's because they knew that a part of that fight was going to be Tony getting popped in the head. And there was no way around it. And he knew it. And I wonder how many takes they did. So we'll move on to the next clip. If you can bring up the card. I don't know if we can or can't. So I'm going to refer to some notes here. So some of the things that they do that you may not be aware of is sometimes, because they're shooting this. First of all, they're never really using what's called a steady cam. A steady cam is somebody has a harness on, an aperture arm, and is literally walking with the camera. The reason why you don't want to use a steady cam, although it'd be a heck of a lot easier, is with that gyro, you lose power. When somebody's throwing a hit or getting punched, they lose, something happens with that gyro, with the motion of that steady cam. And I've seen it I've done more than 100 episodes of TV, and they would use these steady cams when we're shooting action. And the coordinator, I'm looking at the coordinator's looking at me, and I'm like, and he's like, and what can you do? Usually what you do is you put it on the shoulder of the cameraman, and/or they use a lot of tracks, okay? They got that camera on a dolly, on a spider dolly or whatever, and on a track. They lay down these railroad track looking things, and they can push the camera forward and back, or a jib arm or a crane or whatever. And what they'll do is they'll over crank or they'll under crank the film, or these days with video, you can set the shutter speed and you can do whatever you want. But back in my day, when they were using 35 millimeter, they would set the camera. See, the camera goes at 24 frames a second, and there's a mirror in that camera that flips 48 times a second, showing the guy with the eyepiece, what's going on through the lens, and then capturing on the film, okay? Similar to the video, although the video is now, it's all in there. You don't have to do that. So, for example, you can set the camera to 22 frames a second, okay, or 19. And then what happens is when you run it at 24, everything's a little faster. So sometimes for example, when Billy Blanks and I were doing our bit, they couldn't under crank the camera because we were so fast already. They got it, okay? But if we weren't and it was very complex, what we would do is we would just do all the motions with perfect form. And also, if you notice during some of these fight scenes, it may look like somebody's about to get hit, but they are actually a little further out and they would miss anyway. But the way the camera is positioned, it looks like it would be a hit. So there's a lot of tricks to that. And they expect that like I said, you're going to take some shots. And you better sell it and sell it the same way every time. That power powder, the water coming out of the mouth, if you notice when he got smacked down to the ground, when he got hit in the chest, he spat some water out. Now, all of these little things add to the effects of that fight. So what I would like to do is basically now give you a chance to see what some real martial artists would do. And then what we're going to do is show another movie clip after this incredible demo by our Lima Lama Okinawan Karate Masters. That's the Mancia brothers, Ohana Martial Arts. Let's give them a round of applause again. Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Excellent work. Excellent work. So, thanks again to the Big Island Film Office and the Palace Theater. We had an audition, and we had some tremendous martial artists show up, as you can tell by our last demonstration. So, what is the difference between the real and the imagined? Well, obviously, what you saw was very well controlled, very well demonstrated, but all for real and practical purposes. When the kama and the katana were fighting with each other, he sliced him up 1,000,000 times, he'd be dead already, okay? Just like in a movie. What happens in a movie? The guy gets hit 50 times, should be down, you know, but he isn't. It's a movie, right? So that's one of the things I'm really blessed about is, and what we should all be blessed about, is the fact that we have some really fantastic martial artists here on island, which is why there's potential for an action film business here on this island as well. So thanks to the Mancias and Ohana Martial Arts, they came to show what weapons are, how you do weapons in their Okinawan style of the Lima lama, which has a long lineage. Now, very different from Wing Chun, but they have a Japanese and Chinese influence in their martial art. And as you know, or you may not know, East India and China were the inception for all martial arts. So we're very lucky that they were able to come and show us what a real, you know, weapons demonstration would look like. Man. Now, the prop weapons that they use in Ip Man are most likely made out of aluminum, or they are made out of some sort of metal coated with a hard rubber and then sprayed with some sort of metallic looking thing. For the most part, they'll be made out of something sturdy, but edges obviously are not sharp. So, you know, somebody got nicked a few times. So the naginata, which is the sword at the end of the bow staff, and a version of a sword that you see, which is not real. There is no such weapon. It is purely a theatrical sword that you see. And if you when we watch the fight again, I want you to notice how the blade does bend and wobble on the naginata, and how when they are coming together, what's making it work is the shing shing, the sound effects. Because if we cut off the sound, you can see that it doesn't seem as powerful. So obviously, the idea is when you're doing a weapons fight, and I've done this in many countries where there is no professional stunt team. So guys are coming with a real shovel at my head thinking it's a real fight. Yeah. And you got to tell them, look, no, you don't understand. We got to work tomorrow, all of us. So if you crush my head with the shovel, I can't work tomorrow. So this is how we do it. And the thing about it is his blade is obviously aluminum, the naginata, or whatever the Chinese name for it would be. And it's extra long. You can see it's probably 8 feet or so long. So when he's doing some of the sword technique with the naginata, it's the way it's choreographed, there is some distance that is allowed. And when you see the swipes and you see the aerial stuff, you'll notice it's a single shot, something that you pointed out about the power powder. When the guy's in the air and he's missing his feet, that is a separate single shot, and they shot that probably at 80 frames a second, let's say. So the guy's really going fast, but it looks slow. So that's what I mean about over-cranking and under-cranking. In any case, what I want you to take away from this is that all of that choreography, that probably took a good 3 to 4 days to shoot. And how fast? It's only a minute on the screen. Because they are so demanding. If they don't get what they want, you're going to do it again and again and again and again. And I guarantee you, even as professional, as excellent as these guys are, they had to do it over and over again. Donnie Yen is an amazing martial artist. He knew nothing about Wing Chun, but because he was such a good athlete, they were able to teach him. And when you see the documentary of this, that's Donnie Yen, by the way. When you see the documentary of this, you'll see just how hard he trained to do this whole thing. And he does an excellent job portraying Ip Man. And the thing about Wing Chun and about Ip Man, if you notice, he did some motion almost crabbing in. Wing Chun, the way that they move is pigeon-toed, and they can, it's unbelievable. I wish there were some Wing Chun stylists here. I searched high and low to try to find some Wing Chun stylists on this island to show you how their style works. Basically, Wing Chun, in brief, was developed by a Chinese nun, about 5'2", female. And she dissected the 108 ways the upper body can move and the 108 ways the lower body can move. And she created a very effective martial art that uses the center line principle, which is basically if you can take a person's center line, you can defeat them, no matter their size, their weight, their technique. But you have to be able to touch them or be this close to that person. Perfect for a female, right? Because we see all kinds of karate movies and stuff like that, and the girls are like, hey-ya! And ready to fight. When does that ever happen in a real situation? No. Usually, the person is very close to that female. So that nun, and there's actually a reference to it in this movie by the Northern Shaolin master as he taunts Ip Man, saying, well, let's see how a woman fights. I'm doing my Chinese imitation, not too good. And he defeats them. Now, the thing about the cinematic license, the poetic license, is that, first of all, in Wing Chun, he would never kick to the head. Wing Chun is you would only kick below the waist, maybe to the waist. That's about it. The groin, the knees, whatever. That's all. The foot would never come up to the head. It just wouldn't happen. So they've taken some cinematic license and poetic license. But as you can see from Donnie's technique and his position, he's trying to be as real, and they were trying to keep it as real as possible. But if you were to do just a pure, that's why Bruce Lee had to add things to his repertoire for his fighting style. Boxing, taekwondo, and all of these other martial arts that he used in his cinematic life. But he always managed to bring in a little Wing Chun. I don't know if you remember the little fight that I did, the German fight. I did a little trap, block, back fist. That's a Wing Chun move. Wing Chun, the principle is, if somebody's coming at you, you take their center line as they're coming at you. The normal reaction in martial arts is block, then punch. With Wing Chun, it's block, punch at the same time, and then blast through. Keep going through until you disable your opponent or your opponent is vanquished completely. Okay? So when we watch this again, I want you to look at Donnie's face, the main character, because he's flinching like this when the guy's coming at him, because he's got to stand there. Because in Wing Chun, you don't move until the last second, until you have to take the center line and do your technique. Whenever we would gaff a fight scene, literally we would do it on the spot. A lot of times in this day and age, they do what's called pre-vising. They'll go in, they'll rehearse everything, they'll shoot it, they'll cut it together, and then they'll show it to the director. They'll show it to the second unit director. And they'll say, look, this is our fight. But the thing is that, of course, when you've got no budget or you're just shooting and you're dealing with 3-4 languages, as was my case, you just got to be ready for anything. So what we would do is we'd literally get to the location, and we'd figure out what we're going to do right there on the spot. So you better be ready. And that's what I love about this fight, is he picks up the feather duster and he uses it. And there's a bit of humor there, and he's being organic with his choices. So as you can tell, this fight and this choreography with weapons is amazing. But now I'd like to show you some live karate again. And we have with us a fantastic group of traditional Okinawan Karate masters. right. All the way from Captain Cook, the Shiromas and Britt Hurley, and traditional Okinawan Karate from the International Karate League, IKL.org. Let's give them another hand. Thank you very much. So again, a wonderful illustration is the open hand combat between the father and son. Obviously, no messing around, no I'll take, you give, I'll take, you give, like in the movies. Take them out, that was it. And very effectively done, if I might say. And I think that that young man, Jace, wow, he's got a future in the film biz if he wants. But again, you got to see the difference between a traditional style, no nonsense, no selling, no acting, other than, there was a little acting when Jace got thrown and, some things like that, but very effective use of martial arts. Cinematic use, obviously, for entertainment. So nothing against our Japanese stylists, but somebody's got to be the bad guy in the movie, right? So since this movie was set in Foshan, China, during the occupation, again, he's getting hit in the face. That's a stunt guy. So distancing, you can tell that they're all spaced with that multiple opponent fight. So that is the Wing Chun principle. Take the center line, drive through until all done. So sorry, kids. Okay, stop. And bring it back to the beginning. So as you can see from some of those shots, that guy was getting hit in the face. There's just no way around it. That guy was getting hit in the face. And that's what's expected. The stunt guys. Now, a lot of the actors, of course, they have to be on camera. So hopefully you wait until the last 2 days of the shooting to actually hit them in the face. And that's what's going on here. But you can tell, when we watch this again, you'll see that when he has that 4-on-1 gaff, they are spaced perfectly so that he can do his technique and blast through the one of them. Now, I'm sorry, but 16 or 20 limbs versus 2 or 4, it's just impossible to win. But for the fact of cinema, it works. Okay, please. You saw some guys getting their arm. One guy got his arm broken, or his arm went all the way where it's not supposed to go, yeah? So they found a guy who is double jointed to do that. Just like there's a very famous Hollywood stunt guy who only has one leg. And guess what role he always gets? In the war movies, he's the guy who gets blown up and his leg flies off. And he's there with no leg. So, and then the guy who gets his leg broken. Well, obviously they're not going to break that guy's leg. So they probably found a guy who only had one leg and they put something in there and they broke it. So, getting creative. But the whole thing is if you notice, when we play this one more time, you'll notice that he's getting fed the punches. It looks real because of the sound effects, because of the positioning, because of the acting, but everybody's waiting. I used to joke with the director. I'd say, there's all these guys standing around with guns. Why don't they just shoot me? Well, obviously the movie would be over. But the thing is what I want you to notice is the spacing, the positioning. There is some power powder here, but mostly it's the reactions of the stunt guys. And while they're waiting, they're doing something. They're thinking something. Donnie, the star, is in the middle, and everybody kind of comes into him, gets hit, gets busted up. and then they fly out. So this is a Bruce Lee choreography technique. When you watch them enter the dragon next time, you'll see he's in the center of the stage, or center of the screen. Guys come in, they do their thing, and they fly out, and he keeps going. Makes perfect sense. And if you notice, everything is at an angle. Little crane coming down, then cut. And the way he's punching, if you notice, he's using the last two knuckles, unlike boxing. He's using his pinky knuckle and this knuckle, which is the Wing Chun method of punching. See a whole lot of bodies laying around, but enough room for that guy and him to fight. God, very good. So, obviously, there's a lot of tricks and technique. And these guys get up and they hug and we do it all over again. They do it all over again. So, right now, though, I think it would be good for you guys to see a bit of a stunt fight. So now, without further ado, we have Stunts Hawaii.
That's what I thought.
Hey, fat man, leave him alone.
Kitty corner. Oh, that was a nice.
Weren't they fantastic? Now, because of John and because of our representative here, we now have a stunt team. Let's hear it for our film commission and our county government, yeah? All right. So what I'm hoping is through these programs and other seminars that we'll have, we're not done yet. I got more stuff to talk about. We're going to be able to do films here in Hawaii and have an action studio sort of production company that will rival any filmmaking production company in the world. So hopefully you guys will help in that goal. And I know that the Palace Theater will definitely support it. I know John will support it. We've talked about it. So look for Stunt Hawaii, stunthawaii.com, to be back in many other things. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the final fight scene in the movie, okay? But first, is there anybody that has any questions? Anybody who'd like to ask anything? There's a microphone here so so everybody can hear you. Anybody have any questions? Am I that good? No, I don't think so. Well, if you have any questions, just shout them out. But I was going to say, if you have any questions about the film Ip Man, you're going to have a lot more after you've seen it. It is really a phenomenally done film. Yes, John.
How did you get started into the business? You got guys here that can do stuff, but how do you get into making movies here?
Thank you. Well, you need to know anything and everything. Everybody thinks, I've got to study acting or I've got to do this or do that. And God bless you. And what you really need to do is whatever your passion is. Because in the film biz, there are carpenters, there are mechanics, there are set builders, there are laymen of all sorts. There are professionals and interns and so forth. How I got into the film business was almost by accident. I used to do commercial stuff. My mother was a commercial producer and director, so I got in front of the camera when I was really young, but I was bored to tears because all we were doing was May Company commercials or Carnation, Instant Breakfast or whatever. Boring. And then they would call the karate studios. Now, I come from LA. They would call the karate studios in the 80s to find guys who could throw kicks. Because all the Hollywood stunt guys, they know how to throw big bolo punches and fall downstairs or get kicked off a horse or something, but they didn't know how to kick. So that's how I got bitten by the bug, is I just would show up for these little movies and do my little bit and get beat up, and that was it. Started studying acting. Reason why I started studying acting was because I sucked at it. I went at the behest of a friend of mine to an acting class. And he said, Loren, you know what, man, you'd be good at this. And so I went. There was 12 people there and the coach. And I stood there with a piece of paper in front of 12 people, shaking like a leaf. And I didn't like that. It bothered me. So I took it on. It was a challenge, and I figured I could use it no matter what I did. So hopefully we'll have some acting classes here in the Palace Theater. And we'll develop an industry here. But anything that anybody does can be done in a film. Whether it's something practical, like I said, like carpentry or whatever, you can work in the film business. And that's why Hong Kong, I think, was so successful, is because they had very much a studio system over there. There was no unions. There was nothing. There was just this constant need for product, for content, for movies, especially action movies. And the beauty of action movies is you don't have to speak English or Chinese or any of the languages that the film is in, because a punch in the face is a universal language. So it would sell everywhere. Then the Chinese figured out, you know what? We need to make some movies with Western actors. We might get some international sales. And sure enough, they did. And Siyun, Seasonal Films, the company that hired me and did my 3-picture deal with in Hong Kong, that's what they did. We did an English-speaking Hong Kong martial arts film. And it went out in 197 countries. I mean, everywhere in the world, these movies, and yours truly, has been up on the silver screen. And I'm so blessed because of that. Now, Hawaii, what does that have to do with Ip Man? What does that have to do with Hawaii? Well, Hawaii has all of the potential of Hong Kong, of Hollywood, of Australia, of Canada, of any of these other places where film goes now for production. So we'll see, because you can see just with the talent that we saw here this afternoon, there is the potential to make films here on the Big Island. I got started because I found something bit me, something grabbed me. And as a person, you ladies, you can make babies. Us guys, we have to create something. We got to do something. So we figure out all the stuff that we can do. And that's kind of the reason why I think we do films, is we get to create something. It's not that females don't make great films. I'm just saying that as a male, I want to do something that I can create, I can see, and that I'm proud of. So I'm hoping that in Hawaii, we can bring that kind of thing here. I'm going to start writing storylines and things that can be shot here in Hawaii. We've got the stunt team. We've got some great crew here tonight that can shoot it. We've got great actors. Did you see Julian, the guy with the red and white belt of the Okinawa? Great look. Everybody. Ryan, last guy, Ethan, with the Nike hat on. I'm sorry, that guy's a movie star. He's not a stunt guy. If he showed up on a set, they'd be like, oh, he's too good looking. Dirty him up. We can't have him be there because he's better looking than the star. But that's how it starts, is you do the Robert Rodriguez thing. You say, I got a bus, I got my buddies, I got a fake gun, I got this. Let's shoot a movie. So he did Desperado. And what happened? It got picked up. What happened with this other film most recently done for $15,000? I can't remember. It was a huge sensation, went out in the theaters. What was it? Thank you. So there you go. So what we can do in this community is create that possibility. So I hope that with John's help, with your help, that we can make this kind of film that has an international box office appeal and create the film industry here, but keep the aloha. We don't want the attitude that comes with Hollywood. We just want the economy that comes with Hollywood. I hope you all enjoyed this action film martial arts workshop, and I hope it's the first of many in the future. And I hope that you also will come back. I don't know if you have a ticket stub or what it is, but make sure that you keep that so that you can come back and watch this incredible feature on the big screen. And I'd just like to thank you all very much for your time, for your listening, and for allowing me to give you this little tidbit of martial arts in film. Thank you.